Welcome to the Q3 FY26 SAP Market Report webinar. Myself and my colleague Chay Walbeoff will be here today speaking to you about some key insights to the market and how we've been seeing the market this past quarter. So looking forward to speaking to you all. Any questions you have, if you want to save them to the end, we can run through them then.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for thank you for jumping on. And this is the SAP Q3 Market Report webinar of this financial year. So from January to March. If it's your first time on one of these webinars, then welcome, and good to have you on, and thank you for joining. So myself, my name is Chay Walbeoff. I am one of the SAP team leads at Precision. My colleague Chris, he's principal consultant. We both look after the SAP division at Precision. So to kind of dive straight in, guys, and pretty much just look into giving you a bit of an overview of different trends in the market. To be honest, we've been doing these webinars for, I'd say, a number of years now, and market reports. And it's quite crazy to see how the market fluctuates in different areas, different trends, salaries, rates, areas that are busier than others. This is obviously from Q3 of this year, and we'll come into kind of challenges, contract and permanent, in demand areas of the market, there's quite a bit of detail in here. So if you have any questions, feel free to kind of wait until the end, and we'll have a period whereby we can run through everyone's questions and answer that as well. So the first cab off the rank in a way is the question that I guess the team and I get asked the most, to be honest, is how is the market, how are things in the market looking at the moment? And look, overall, I think the main consensus is really that the market is in a positive light, right? It's kind of recovered quite well. You probably would have heard myself or one of the team mention that the last 18 months has been fairly stable. And coming into the new calendar year of 2026, we've seen the market really push in the right direction. There's a lot of confidence in the market. We've seen a 60 to 70 roughly percent increase in job flow over the past year. There's certainly much more pipeline in the S/4HANA space. Not necessarily the boom that I think everyone was kind of waiting for with the end of life with ECC and the dates and potentially moving for certain customers with different licenses and so on. But the market from an S4 perspective is much more positive around transformations, migrations, RISE programs, and I think that there is a bit more push, really, I would say, with a lot of customers that are now moving into getting those projects off the ground. Consulting companies are definitely preparing for increased project demand. We've seen a lot of consulting companies that are reaching out to us that we're working with that are looking to kind of really ramp up their project teams, right? And that's a clear sign that those guys are winning a lot more work, or at least kind of getting kind of awarded large-ish programs, or whether that's public cloud, private cloud. But we're seeing a much more positive push within that S4 side of things. So I think in 2025, many organizations were focused around planning, budgeting, and now it's really moving into the kind of execution of getting those programs delivered. So, market activity is increasing. Delivery timelines are kind of quite inconsistent at the moment. We've noticed, certainly the global organizations that have, decisions that are being made overseas, there is a bit more slower approach there. But overall, the sentiment is very, very optimistic, I would say. Business still remain cautious due to economic uncertainty, AI disruption. I think both, Chris could kind of vouch for this as well. Certainly in the last 4 to 5 weeks, it's been a bit more stop-start in a way. Processes that, roles have been approved, projects are kicking on, but realistically, there's a bit of a stop-start element, maybe more approvals. Do we necessarily need that particular role? Do we need to hire X, Y, Z? So things are a lot more optimistic, but I think that cautiousness has probably crept in a bit more in the last 4 to 5 weeks than we've seen in the remainder of this year so far. But overall, from a market perspective, from the outside in, it's very much, much more positive, really.
Yeah, and that kind of cautiousness can definitely be, I guess, segregating somewhat to different industries as well. Logistics industries that are depending on fuel prices. Any of those kind of construction industries. So like it definitely is industry specific, I guess, given the geopolitical environment at the moment. But coming on to our next point, just around some different hiring trends that we've seen, and some things for people to take note of, that hiring processes as a whole are becoming much slower and complex. We are seeing longer decision making, more kind of stages of interviews, and you know that can be frustrating for candidates, who maybe have multiple offers but favor one role that maybe isn't moving as quickly. So, you know, we are trying to, encourage our clients to move as quickly as you can, because, candidates are increasingly managing different opportunities and multiple opportunities at once. The market maybe 6 months ago was very much a client-led market. It is starting to swing back the other way to a candidate-led market. Candidates do have more power on the market, and they do have multiple opportunities. And we are seeing the candidates are again, favoring opportunities that maybe have that hybrid model, that kind of flexibility, of working from home 2 or 3 days a week, going into the office, maybe that hybrid approach. So market conditions as a whole are starting to resemble that kind of talent short market of 2021, 2022, when we were in, very much a candidate driven market. So definitely a note for clients to take note of, but also for candidates, that is the norm now, and that doesn't necessarily reflect on your interview. It is just kind of how we are seeing the market move in terms of speed.
So moving on to some of the, I guess, kind of challenges that we've noticed with customers, whether that's end user customers, consulting clients of ours. Some of the challenges that we've seen, certainly around, there's been around a bit of kind of talk around concerns from an SI and delivery quality and accountability that still remains really, really high. In terms of security cleared candidates, if a client reaches out to us and looking for, NV1 and baseline clearance, it is still a very limited market and quite challenging in that particular space. I think from a hiring and onboarding and interview standpoint, there is certainly, it's actually it's kind of the world that we're living in now, but we've had feedback from clients whereby it seems from a virtual interview that, the candidate may be reading from a script. And obviously it's so difficult to tell if that's actually happening, right, in reality. However, I think, it's, as a client, or a hiring manager, if you're looking to hire, virtual is always, it's sure to stay, right? Hence what we're doing right here. And it has its benefits, no doubt at all. But I think from an interview standpoint, if you're looking to hire someone within the city that you're working in, your office, really, really recommend and encourage you to create that kind of human connection, and kind of, go for an in-person interview I always try to do that with clients where I can anyway. I think you get a better outcome. You're able to meet that person, get a feel for them, and also they are for you, right? Because they're always interviewing you as the hiring manager as well. But yeah, where you can do that, that's really important. Another point to note is I think a lot of customers are going to market and they've got challenges internally, whether that's budget, there's a lot of different things, right? But looking to bring in or hire a bit more of a leaner team. And what we've seen with that is clients looking to hire multiple skills in one role, which in essence is not always possible. Sometimes, you may get someone who can bring value in other areas. But, we've seen demands and requirements from customers whereby some of the, what they're looking for is actually doesn't even exist, right? That particular person, that role will be open for a very, very long period of time. And I guess part of our job is to really kind of understand what you're looking for, and if that role doesn't exist, or it's a really, really difficult role to fill, or near on impossible, then we actually tell our clients that as well, and try and provide a solution, right? Maybe you could look at this, bring in another option here, or maybe try and be flexible in certain areas. I think successful projects retain their teams well, and I think that making sure that you're focusing on retention. Hiring is really important when you're ramping up, do you build or whatever stage of your project, but retaining your team, retention is really, really important. So definitely kind of focusing on that from a hiring standpoint, but also your current team as well.
So another, I guess, area we constantly get asked by our clients and candidates alike is, what's the difference between contract and permanent, or what's the split between contract and permanent? So at the moment we are seeing, a pretty healthy split in terms of 69% contract versus 31% permanent. So we've seen a big increase in permanent hires in the last quarter, up, almost 140%. The reason for this is, contract is still dominating, but, with permanent hires increasing, that kind of shows, I guess, a confidence in the market. Back maybe last 2 years, we had seen a lot more contract requirements over permanent, just due to that kind of, unsureness on where the market might be in 6 months' time or in 12 months' time. But the fact that there is a big increase in permanent hires shows that confidence is back. We have also seen a big push from, different consulting firms that are hiring permanent hires ahead of, upcoming project wins, or, anticipating project wins in the next 6 months, or, pipelining permanent hires for that and getting their kind of leadership or their strategic teams in place for those projects. So that's kind of really helps with the permanent hire increase. But where we see the market now, it is a healthy split of, that 70-30 is almost that kind of the sweet spot of where the market should be, which is very positive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's back to a bit more of a healthy split than previous years for sure. So next, kind of just going to delve into obviously S/4HANA transformations, and I think that it's actually quite nice to be having these conversations. Last year, it was very SuccessFactors was the solution that was keeping the market turning, in all honesty, and the demand that we had was through the roof. And it's good that we're, S4 programs, a lot of customers are, whether at the RFP stage at the moment, looking to select their system integrator partner, or they've selected programs approved, business case approved, ready to go, and are kicking off, right? And a lot of the clients that we work with and customers in the market are, I would say, if not approaching that, not far away from that. So obviously looking at the, the three key areas around brownfield, SDT, selected data transition, and greenfield. So from recent months, brownfield migrations seem to be the most popular approach still, I think, in the market at the moment, with selective data transitions. And yeah, it's quite refreshing, some of the conversations that I've had with some of my clients around this approach. I think it's brilliant that more and more customers are looking at this as an option. And you've got a lot of partners, well, I say a lot of partners, but some really strong partners in the market that specialize in this area. And that is certainly growing. This better, I guess, risk control in a way, whereas greenfield still remains the least common in the market. But again, it's the most ambitious pathway. And we've seen a number of customers that have got projects approved, and they're currently at the very early stages of their greenfield journey right now, which is fantastic and exciting for many in the market for sure. I think a lot of organizations want transformation while minimizing disruption as best as possible. And it seems that a hybrid approaches are becoming a bit more increasingly attractive to balance that kind of innovation and risk as well. So I guess to summarize that, it's probably more brownfield than STT that are dominating the Australian market from an S4 perspective at the moment, whereby you've got some of those newer customers that are looking into the greenfield space as well.
So next we've, I guess, look at what skill sets are in demand over the last quarter. So we are seeing more and more that S4 HANA implementation experience is essential on programs. So any customer we're speaking to who are embarking on an S4 transformation, candidates who have been there, done that with S4 transformations in the past, even one implementation, they are going to take priority over candidates who maybe have just been doing BAU over the last while, or their last transformation project was an ECC6 transformation. So really getting that S4 experience is now really, really important for customers, and showing that people have the battle scars from previous implementations and can bring those into new ones is what people are looking for. And how candidates can differentiate themselves in interviews is speaking about those experience on your previous S4 implementation, and showing how you've learned from that and how you can do things differently with this next one. We've seen a lot of FICO requests on the market as well, EAM as well. Solution architects have been a big area of searching from our customers, but most importantly, we're seeing that a big part of the interview stage is customers are looking for people who can communicate the value of an implementation to the customer, and that stakeholder management piece is really important alongside the technical capability. Being able to articulate the why, being able to do that storytelling piece and bring the customers on the journey of your previous experience and how you can bring value to them from there is really good. And then just coming back to that transformation delivery experience, that's been a key differentiator. So our recommendation is for candidates who have that transformation experience to really lean on that in interviews and be able to get that across to the interviewer.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of just kind of following on from what Chris has mentioned there, obviously from a technical standpoint, I think BTP is now considered, I guess, essential rather than optional for a lot of customers and their journeys. With brownfield projects, integration, migration expertise. We're seeing a lot in the CPI space, integration suite, BTP platform, the entire stack really. A lot more demand in that particular area. Public and sovereign cloud, I'd say that, SAP have been kind of pushing that as a product in a way, and there's not been a whole lot of customers that have implemented public cloud. Realistically, I think some smaller organizations, and I know, there are certain consultancies that certainly delivered, a majority of those as well. But it's becoming more and more of a need in the market, and candidates with that experience, are certainly in demand, I would say, for sure, that have worked in the public cloud space as well. The kind of age-old classic around payroll and time management. So, you've got traditional SAP payroll and time management, and whereas now you've got ECP and time off, and it's really, really challenging in the market because it's so in demand, and the market doesn't have enough people that specialize in this. So, candidates that have experience in the old technologies, kind of upskilling and modernizing your skill set would really do you the world of good, I think, because it's such an important, important part in the market right now. Certainly with success factors still being kind of really, really busy in the market, and a lot of different industries actually, implementing that for their HRIS and HR transformations. I just want to make sure that we're allowing enough time for questions at the end. And I know, some of you may have meetings, hard stops at 2:00. So Chris and I will kind of run through this pretty quickly, and then we'll, have some questions as well.
Yeah, so just finally from me, so some advice for candidates on how to navigate this market. Networking is key. Definitely keep in touch with any former colleagues that you've worked with, who you maybe see have got onto a new project, or who you've heard are working at a certain place, and don't be afraid to reach out and see if they need any support. Get yourself to any SAP centric events that are being run. We run a number of them ourselves, and we'll make sure that you are aware of them. And any event we run, it's always a bit of a reunion at all the events. You have people who have worked with each other here and there, and they're always really good. So we can definitely make everyone aware of them. Flexibility is
November,
crucial.
I think.
Yeah, so the next one's in November. So I see Ashley online as well. He's going to be running it. So
there'll be some more communication
Yeah.
coming out for that, for sure.
So yeah, stay flexible. Location, hybrid work. It won't always be an option, but showing that flexibility is key. Your reputation matters. So the SAP market is really, really tight. Keep your reputation. If there's a project that's not suitable for you, go about it the right way of exiting that project. Is definitely important. And then just continuous learning, looking at new trends on the market. Cloud, AI, and data have been massive. So trying to upskill in those areas, and then where possible, try and interview in person, get your personality across these people. That would really help.
And hiring managers, and I can see a few of you on this call, but I think one of the most important things that we're seeing in the market is candidates on the market. 6 to 8 months back, there weren't many opportunities, right? And one opportunity, they would drag out for a period of time and they'd still be available, whereas that's no longer the case. Moving quickly, doing hiring processes, making sure you've got all the approvals in place, have a clear-cut interview process, know who is going to be on that interview, make sure they're the right people. There's nothing worse than having, the wrong person interviewing. I'm sure everyone on this call has interviewed, in their careers, and it's really, really important to get that right. It can stop people, really good people from joining your business and adding so much value to your project. Offer flexibility to widen talent pools for certain skill sets, certainly very niche areas in the market. And hire for growth potential, not just kind of exactly what you see on paper. The amount of clients that would look at a CV and not see a few keywords or something like that. Where the real value is in a conversation and meeting that person and understanding what they've done in this particular space, how they can add value. The amount of stories that we could tell you about where candidates have been rejected initially, and they met the client in person and have been there for 6 years, and they're absolutely loving it. They're part of the furniture in a way, and that's really, really important. Building relationships and strong relationships and partnerships with recruiters. There's a lot of people on this call that, we work with for many years. And I think having that partnerships and utilizing your recruitment partner, not just for the roles that you hire, rates, salaries, what am I looking at if I need to hire X, Y, Z, or I've got a project coming up in 6 months. Can we lock in a call 6 weeks before, or can we lock in a call 2 months before? What am I looking to pay for this particular person? How hard is it to find an EWM person in Adelaide, or whatever that may be? It's not got to be just hiring insights, data, trends. Like, we're there to provide that information, and we love doing that. In terms of, like I said, I think the main thing is around top people in the market, and not necessarily actively in the market and looking a lot. Candidates have multiple opportunities, processes that take slow, go slow and take a longer time. Candidates are off the market, right? And normally moved into something else for a longer period of time. And with these projects that have been approved, they're long-term. A lot of these are long-term. So they're off and they're not back on the market for another 12, 18 months or whatever that may be. So flexible hiring strategies produce better outcomes. And I think the companies combine speed, flexibility, strong market relationships will kind of, hire the best talent in the market. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. And we've got a bit of time and more. Chris and I can hang around for a bit longer anyway. But any questions that anyone has, look, feel free to unmute yourselves and fire away. And we'd love to answer any questions that you have, or feel free to drop something in the chat. Cheers, Avinash. Cheers, Mark.
Gentlemen, do you find that the SAP pool or available pool is diminishing just a little bit as older consultants disappear, more projects are kicking off, and it's just more of a thinner spread of available talent for your roles that you get that you search for?
Yeah, well, there are always, like you said, the seasoned consultants, as you might call them, are starting to drop out of the market, and they've not been replaced by many graduates or many there's not been that real push from SAP or from anyone else to, really encourage people to get into SAP. So for certain skill sets, that is definitely the case. It's a case by case basis, but we are seeing that, there are only a certain number of, really strong FICO consultants on the market. And once 3 or 4 projects kick off on the market, those guys are gone. So it is about timing your run for a lot of this. And that's kind of why we are there, that if a candidate with a particular skill set does come available, that, we make our clients aware of it. So I think kind of echoes Chay's point of, relying on your recruiters to make you aware of good talent. And that's what we're there for, really.
Absolutely. And to add to that, I think, to answer your question, Paul, absolutely. We've been in the market for 20 years now, and I'm sure that many of you may know, our manager Jay and Simon, our managing director. He started the SAP desk, and our business was started in SAP 20 years ago, right? So, the amount of people that we've been working with over those years and now moving on and are not being replaced ultimately and taking all their knowledge and wisdom with them is probably the worst part about it, right? And trying to utilize those people as best as possible. But the market is tight in general, the SAP market. It's very, very small, as we all know. That's why reputation and how you operate in this market is fundamental, I think. But it's your question is absolutely right. You're valid. It's a valid point. I think the most important part with a lot of these really senior, amazing, SAP professionals that are leaving the market, try and get their wisdom and knowledge from them before they leave, or utilize them. And we've done that with a few of our events when we had Bruce McKinnon, and he was talking around his experience, over the years at SAP and Accenture and so on. And yeah, that's kind of part of something that we're trying to do as a team as well, really. Hope that answers your question.
Arvind, do you have a question?
Great answer.
No worries.
Hello, good afternoon. So basically, I'm just new to the Australian SAP market.
Mhm.
So also, I see your skill set representation of SAP EWM.
Yep.
So let's say if someone is having not maybe a primary level of EWM consulting experience, but still we do have, let's say, a hands-on and all. So I would just like to know what are the probabilities and how is the market for that in SAP EWM and in general overall.
Yeah, sure. No, it's a great question. Look, if I'm honest, Aravind, EWM is insanely in demand at the moment, right? There's a lot of clients that within the supply chain side of things, and whether they're doing an S4 implementation whereby there's a heavy aspect of EWM, a lot of businesses, whether they got the transportation management module, which is, EWM, sometimes comes hand in hand, but in general, it's a very, very challenging area of the market. So if you're someone that has hands-on experience with EWM, there's no doubt that you're not gonna have too much challenges in finding work. Obviously, from a visa standpoint, a lot of the customers that we work with, in full transparency, if they're using a recruiter, they need someone quickly, right? Whether that's a permanent role, a contracting role, and that typically comes with Australian permanent residency or citizenship. For candidates who don't have visas, if we're being honest, probably my recommendation is to apply directly if you see something on Seek, because they have the ability to provide sponsorship in a way. I'm more than happy to catch up with you separately offline about, EWM and so on. But a lot of clients will be really looking for that strong hands-on functional EWM. If there's someone who is a supply chain consultant, realistically, their core modules, procurement or sales and distribution, they've done some EWM, but they really want to get into EWM. There's an opportunity there for sure, but the real demand typically is often for really strong functional EWM and technical. Seen a lot more development and developer EWM roles come in recently. But yeah, it's an area that's I guess limited in talent and highly in demand.
Thank you. Looks optimistic. Yeah, and I'm already in touch with one of your colleagues, Seb.
Seb,
So
yeah,
yeah.
brilliant.
Thank you.
You're in good hands there.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's awesome. Any other questions at all?
Do you find you have to counsel some of your clients when they're searching for to fill roles to not try and ask for a Superman or Superwoman? I see a lot of roles out there now, and I'm just a bit hesitant to apply for them because I think, gee, this is Superman they're asking for. I'm not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Batman sometimes as well. Tell you.
Yeah, it's what we kind of mentioned towards the end there, Paul. Just like there are definitely, we have seen a lot of customers looking to run lean teams, and when trying to run lean teams, oftentimes that means looking for two people within the one role. So kind of trying to package up positions to include areas that historically would be a part of the role, but another person will be helping them with that. So yeah, for sure, we have seen a lot of that kind of unicorn recruitment going around, and it's down to us to kind of educate our clients when taking job descriptions around what is realistic. But from my recommendation to you, if there's a role that maybe you hit 80% of the requirements, I definitely wouldn't be afraid to apply for it.
For sure, yeah.
Very rarely are they going to find somebody that hits every mark, and customers do need to show that flexibility, which we've mentioned. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to apply for those roles for sure. And yeah, it's down to us as recruiters then to educate our clients when presenting your profile that you maybe are lacking in this area, but you have that growth mindset and want to learn different areas and trying to sell it in that way. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to apply for those roles, but it is definitely something we have seen a lot of.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Hey, hey, Chris, I've got Chris and Chay. I just have one question. Do you have a stat in terms of the percentage of SAP hiring that is led by the recruiters versus direct hiring?
To be honest, not an exact stat, right? Because it's really, really difficult to get an exact or to give you a clear indication of what that would be, to be honest, because it probably just wouldn't be that clear, to be honest. But is your question more around hypothetically how many clients reach out to a recruiter as opposed to how many clients want to do it themselves? Is that the question?
It's more like, obviously some of the specialist roles, obviously the organization will struggle to hire. That's time when they reach out to recruiters. What I'm seeing, I think it is quite challenging to find the right SAP skill set in certain cases, especially for SAP S/4HANA. There are companies, and most of the companies are doing brownfield rather than greenfield. So in situations like these, do recruiters have a upper hand here, or is that clients?
Yeah, I mean, look, in a nutshell, recruitment costs money, right? You come to a recruiter, it's you can't hire someone through a recruiter for free, realistically, right? So we would have an agreement or partnership in place with certain customers. So with that, if there is a customer that has challenges around cost, budgets, then look, we recommend our clients, right? Is at the end of the day, if you can hire a role or the role that you need through your own avenue, through your own talent team, through your own recommendations, 100% do that, right? Because ultimately it's going to save you cost. And it's going to be more beneficial for you. Now, where I guess businesses like Precision, we are very, very specific and niche within our remit. So where we add value is once a lot of our clients will reach out to us and say, hey, Chay, we've got an EWM 6-month contracting role or an S4 program manager role. We've gone through our network, people that we worked through before. We've had our internal talent team look at it for 3 months and we can't fill it. Are you able to help? And that's when more often than not that we come in. Now, typically there are other customers and other clients that they know that they don't have the capability in-house or the networks in their existing team to access that talent. So they will then come to, I guess a specialist recruitment company. So it's case by case, to be honest. And to answer your question, I don't think there's a fundamental answer for that. But realistically, from our side, I think if you can hire a certain resource through your own avenue, then, why not? But realistically, it's really, really hard, right? Certainly in the SAP ecosystem in Australia, it's not easy to hire the right skill set. The market, we have been, and I think the beauty of us as a business, I worked in SAP recruitment in the UK. Chris worked in SAP recruitment in Ireland, and we covered Europe, we covered the US. The markets are really big. In Australia, the market is really small. A lot of people know people. But, it's timing, it's finding that skill set. It's really, really challenging to hire in Australia in many ways, right? So that's kind of why a lot of clients, I guess, utilize us, for their hiring. But if they can do it themselves, then brilliant. But it is a challenge, to be honest.
Yeah. And just to echo Chay's point, like, all we from our side, we have a team of 9 recruiters, and all we focus on is SAP. So we're constantly speaking with candidates in the SAP market, like between our team, we could be speaking to 100 candidates a day just in SAP, whereas, your internal teams may have accountancy roles, may have, other positions that they're focusing on as well. And SAP is just a small part. For us, it's all we do. So, we can track, what candidates are coming available in 2-3 months. And we can say, look, Alan spoke to us about an EWM opportunity in a few months' time, and we can, help to pipeline that. And that's kind of where the value is from us, that, we know people's situations on the market, and, that's all that we are really doing. So that's kind of how we differentiate ourselves. But yeah, to Chay's point, if you can hire somebody yourself, great, saves that cost. But we are there if there is ever a struggle or an area that your internal team can't help with.
Sure. Thanks, Chris and Jay.
No, pleasure.
Chris.
No worries at all. Any final questions from anyone else online? And thanks for the questions so far, guys.
You guys are doing a wonderful job with the podcast. I've seen some of those already, and they're wonderful.
Yeah, great. So yeah, we've got lots more information, guys. If you want to jump on our website, you can see our S4HANA do's and don'ts page, where we've collated all of the podcasts that we've done over the last number of months. There's the key snippets of info there that you can use when going for these S4 implementations, and our market reports are there to give you an understanding of what the market looks like. And yeah, feel free to reach out to anybody on the team here if you had any questions around what the market's looking like, if you're looking for a role, or if you are looking to hire. We are here to help. Thanks, guys.
Pleasure. Thanks so much. Have a good
Cheers.
afternoon. Take care.